runner, especially at the beach, and has played the harmonium for over 10 years as a way to stay connected to her faith. In her TED Talk, Women, Life, Freedom, Anya explores how her understanding of womanhood has been shaped by each country she lived in, unpacking the paradoxical and often conflicting realities of being a woman in today's world. Please welcome Anya.
Imagine a 16-year-old girl walking alone at night. Imagine her in India. Imagine her in Singapore. Imagine her in Dubai. And finally, imagine her in Canada. Each place paints her differently. The same heart, the same hope. Yet in one she may be a hero for existing, in another, a villain for daring to. As a child, I believed the world was just one place. But migrating across all of these countries, I realized there isn't one world. There are 8 billion versions of it, filtering the same sky, each tinted by culture, trauma, upbringing, and belief. Today, I'm here to share mine. Let's start in India, where I was born. I was just a kid when I left, but the stories never stopped reaching me. One that shook me to my core was the brutal rape and murder of a 31-year-old junior doctor back in Kolkata in August 2024. She was found dead in a classroom at R.G. Kaur Medical College and Hospital, a place where she dedicated her life to healing others. The accused, a police volunteer, someone entrusted with maintaining safety. This wasn't just a crime, it was a betrayal of the very systems meant to protect women. The incident ignited nationwide outrage. Doctors across India went on strike, demanding justice and better security for hospitals. Protests erupted in over 130 cities across 25 countries, uniting the global Indian diaspora in channeling their inner paladins. From one perspective, this tragedy highlighted the deep-rooted issues of gender-based violence and systemic failure in India. Yet from another, it showcased the power of collective action and the global community's ability to unite against injustice. But this was just one case that actually reached headlines. Every 20 minutes, that's about every 2 TED Talks you see today, a rape case occurs in India. Change often seems progressive, but for someone else, that change is a band-aid on a bullet wound. Many women still fear reporting crimes due to societal backlash, family pressure, and even police inaction. Culture, in this case, has been twisted into a cage woven with tradition, silence, and shame. Next, I came to Singapore. Clean streets, spotless trains, and a kind of safety so engraved I hadn't seen it before. I saw women in true corporate power, women knowing their worth, and women being respected for it. But that perspective started to shift once I looked a little closer. Many of those women, the ones who were killing it at work, still came home to a second shift. Behind closed doors, there was another kind of expectation. To be soft-spoken, yet strong. Nurturing, yet productive. Endlessly patient, perfectly dressed, even in homes with domestic help, the emotional labor still landed in a woman's hands. Scheduling, caretaking, remembering birthdays, soothing conflict, tasks no one saw, everyone just expected. The second shift wasn't something people talked about. It quietly lived in the margins, in text reminders, in silent sacrifices, in women quietly picking up the slack. Yet, the most complicated part, many didn't even see it as unfair. It was just what you do. The woman who has it all is expected to do it all, without complaint, without rest, without pause. And that's where my perspective shifted. From the outside, it looked like empowerment, but from the inside, it was just exhaustion dressed up as success. And that changed my definition of freedom. It wasn't just about having choices. It was about the ability to make them without guilt. Next, Dubai felt like a utopia. World-class healthcare, glittering malls, top-tier education, and a sense of safety so engraved it almost became invisible. As a girl growing up there, I often felt like I could have everything. I saw women drive luxury cars, run businesses, wear whatever they wanted, and work in high-rise offices. Freedom, I thought, looked like financial power. If you could afford a life of comfort, you'd already won the game. But as I grew up, I slowly started noticing the quiet rules, the things we just didn't talk about. At school, we avoided anything too political. Just one MUN conference shunned me when speaking about the Yemen crisis. No discussions about ongoing conflicts, no debates about our stance on them. I didn't realize it at the time, but this silence shaped how I saw freedom. Your safety came with conditions. Don't challenge, don't question, don't disrupt. Remember that. Now, about 3 years ago, when I was still living in Dubai, I learned about Mahsa Amini, a 22-year-old young woman in Iran who died in the hands of the morality police for wearing her hijab improperly. The government's narrative sought to conceal the truth, suggesting that it was just a heart attack. In fact, the state released CCTV footage claiming no violence occurred. However, countless eyewitnesses tell a different story, one of police brutality and the tragic cost of expressing one's identity. And so, the streets exploded in protest. Women, life, freedom, they shouted. As tear gas spread and bullets were fired across the country, these women did not give up. Women, life, freedom, they shouted. They believed in building a better world for their children and future generations. Women, life, freedom. A movement of people who have no choice but to keep speaking up. Now, what haunted me the most wasn't just how scary it was seeing this on the news, it was how eerily familiar it felt. Don't challenge, don't question, don't disrupt. Women couldn't dance in public, couldn't sing in public, couldn't ride a bicycle. They had to sit at the back of the bus. This was far more than just a compulsory hijab law, far more than just women's rights. Women, yes, but life and freedom too. The right to live a normal life without fear or injustice. This is a harsh reminder that even today, women in many parts of the world are judged, not by the content of their character, but by the clothes that they wear. We're told we're not enough, or paradoxically too much, to fit into society's rigid mold of who we should be. But in the face of this injustice, these women rise, their voices amplified by their aim for the future. Finally, I came to Canada, and I saw protests, loud ones, women marching with signs, megaphones, and sometimes rage. The Me Too movement exploded here. Survivors were no longer whispering. The movement had implications not only for survivors, but for social service providers, law enforcement officers, employers, educators, even the government. In fact, calls to the Ottawa Rape Crisis Center increased by 100% in just 1 year alone. This is where I started noticing the difference between flexible and rigid perspectives. In some places, ideas about gender seemed set in stone, deeply rooted and rarely questioned. In others, they felt more open, shaped by dialogue, pressure, and collective resistance. However, even in more open societies, contradictions still exist. In Canada, for example, while I learned about large movements driving change, I also learned about how violence against Indigenous women often goes unnoticed and unresolved. Indigenous women make up such a small percentage of our population, yet they face a homicide rate 6 times higher than non-Indigenous women. Cases about murdered and missing Indigenous women are often burdened by limited media attention and delayed investigations. This violence isn't isolated, it's systemic. So the question becomes, whose perspectives are we listening to and whose are we silencing? The truth is, gender inequality is not just a human rights issue. It's a pandemic that plagues societies across the globe. And the cost of that is the marginalization women face at protests, in politics, and even in their own homes. You see, this isn't a fight between genders though. It's a fight between control and freedom. It isn't about men versus women, but power versus justice. Truth versus deception. The ability to contradict the freedom that often feels so close, yet so far. How people, especially women, carry struggle and strength in the same breath. So maybe perspective is less about where we are and more about what we choose to see. Are you looking closely enough? Are you questioning what's being presented as normal? Are you making space for the voices that don't always get heard? In a world where so many are silenced, we must remember that our voices are our most powerful tool. Whether we're fighting for pay equity, safety, or dignity, the struggle continues. We're part of a global movement for women, for life, and for freedom. Thank you.